The story begins with a 20-year-old boy named Will Hunting. He lives in a poor neighborhood and works at the world-famous MIT University, but not as a student. Will is just a janitor who cleans the buildings there. One day, while cleaning a hallway, he sees a super difficult math problem written on a board. The challenge was given by Professor Gerald Lambeau, and whoever solved it would be remembered forever in the university's history. Will looks at the problem and instantly gets obsessed. Even when he's hanging out with his friends at a bar, his mind is still stuck on that equation. He suddenly leaves them and rushes home to solve it. With no board in his house, he starts writing on his bathroom mirror and spends the whole night working. And finally, Will cracks the problem. A few days later, he quietly writes the correct answer on the board while doing his cleaning job. When Professor Lambeau sees it, he's shocked. He can't believe someone solved it so fast. And now he desperately wants to know who this mystery genius is. But Will has no idea his life is about to change. That evening, he spots a bully from his childhood and loses control. He attacks him, and a huge fight breaks out. The police arrive, and Will gets arrested. The next morning, while the class eagerly waits to know who solved the problem, the professor announces an even harder one. Meanwhile, Will is out on bail with a court date awaiting him. Later that evening, while solving another math problem secretly on a board, Will gets caught by Professor Lambeau. The professor thinks he's just fooling around and tries to stop him, until he checks the board again and realizes the answer is correct. Now he's speechless, but Will doesn't care. He gets fired from his cleaning job and casually jokes to his friends, they're just restructuring management. He has no idea that solving these equations might be the biggest turning point of his life. The next day, Professor Lambeau makes it his mission to find the mystery genius. He goes straight to the janitor's office asking for a name, but the staff thinks he's there to complain about cleaning issues. That's when he learns something surprising. Will wasn't working at MIT because he wanted to. It was court-ordered community service. Soon, Will's court date arrives and Lambeau shows up to watch. In the courtroom, Will shocks everyone. He defends himself so confidently using legal knowledge that even lawyers are impressed. But since he already has a long list of past crimes, the judge sends him to jail with a $50,000 bail. A few days later, Professor Lambeau visits Will in jail with an offer. The judge is ready to release him, but with two strict conditions. Will must study math with Lambeau every week. He must go to therapy once a week to control his anger. Will thinks therapy is useless, but to stay free, he says yes. Outside jail, his studies go great. He solves even the toughest math problems like they're child's play, shocking Lambeau again and again. But therapy, that becomes a disaster. The professor brings multiple psychologists, but Will crushes them one by one. The first doctor quits because Will brutally insults his academic book, saying he finished reading it in one night and it wasn't even good. The second tries hypnosis to control him, and that fails too. Lambeau is about to give up when he remembers someone, his old college friend, Dr. Sean McGuire, now a respected psychologist. At first, Sean refuses because his schedule is full, but when Lambeau compares Will to legendary mathematicians who changed the world without formal education, Sean finally agrees. The first session becomes a war. As usual, Will tries to annoy the doctor with sarcasm and jokes. He even mocks a painting in Sean's office. Sean stays calm. But when Will insults Sean's late wife, Sean snaps. He grabs Will and warns him, "If you ever talk about my wife again, I'll end you." The session ends instantly. Later, Lambeau apologizes and offers Sean a way out, but Sean refuses. He says he'll meet Will again next week, no matter what. That night, Sean sits alone, thinking about the painful memories Will brought up, realizing how deeply he still misses his wife. Meanwhile, Will's life takes a softer turn. He goes on a date with Skylar, a girl he met at a bar. She tells him her father left her a huge inheritance, and she plans to study at Stanford. They spend the night laughing, talking, and end it with a sweet kiss in a diner. Will is a genius, but love, pain, therapy, and life, these are the problems no math can solve. Now comes a second therapy session. This time, Sean doesn't take Will to his office. He takes him to a park bench. As soon as Will starts his usual sarcastic jokes, Sean stops him. He says he's been thinking about their last session, and now he has something important to say. Sean calmly explains that Will might be incredibly smart, but when it comes to real life, he knows nothing. Sure, Will can talk about every famous artist, but he's never seen their paintings in person. He can read everything about war, but he's never stepped on a battlefield. He can quote love poems, but he has never loved someone enough to show his true, broken self. And most importantly, Will acts like he understands pain, but no one will ever know what being an orphan really feels like, unless Will himself opens up about it. Books can't teach that, only life does. The next session, Will refuses to talk. Sean sits patiently, knowing Will is just testing him, and he's right, because during the following session, Will finally breaks the silence with a dirty joke. Sean laughs, and for the first time, they actually talk like humans. Will even tells him about his date with Skylar. When Sean asks if he'll meet her again, Will shockingly says probably not. He's scared the perfect image she has of him might break. Sean tells him the truth. You're not scared she's imperfect. You're scared you are. Sean explains how real love isn't about perfection. It's about accepting someone's flaws. He talks about his wife, who died of cancer. He says he misses the little things, her habits, her weirdness, her imperfections. That's what real closeness is. For the first time, Will truly listens. Meanwhile, Will decides to meet Skylar again. She's shocked because he never called for days, but she agrees. They go to a dog race, share jokes, and have fun. Skylar asks about his childhood, but Will lies, saying he has 12 big brothers. She laughs, clearly knowing it's fake, but Will keeps the joke going so seriously that she makes him promise, "You'll introduce your family someday." The next day, Will asks Sean, "How do you know someone is your soulmate?" Sean smiles and tells him about the day he skipped the world's most legendary baseball game, just because he met a girl, and he never regretted it. Skylar keeps asking to meet Will's real family. He still can't reveal the truth, so he introduces her to his friends instead. Skylar fits in perfectly, drinking beer, joking, enjoying with everyone. But at the end of the night, Chuck says something that ruins Will's mood, and that moment changes everything. Professor Lambeau later meets Sean at a diner to discuss Will's therapy, but Lambeau isn't interested in Will's past or healing. He only wants to know what Will become under his guidance. Sean calmly tells him he won't push Will into anything. Will has to choose his own life. Lambeau gets angry, saying he already arranged meetings with big companies for Will. What he doesn't know is Will didn't even go. His friend Chuck went instead and ended up demanding money like a thug, ruining the whole deal. Meanwhile, Will and Skylar's relationship grows deeper. Skylar asks Will to move to California with her because she's going to Stanford. Will immediately refuses and hides behind excuses. Skylar calls him out, saying he's scared of doing anything outside his small comfort world where nothing challenges him. Will explodes. He assumes she sees him as a poor time pass guy. Skylar tearfully says money doesn't matter to her. If she had to choose between her father and money, she would choose her father every time. She says she's scared too, but at least she's honest. The tension rises when Skylar reminds him of his lie, the fake story about 12 brothers. Will finally breaks. He screams and confesses the truth he has always hidden. He is an orphan. He was abused as a child, and he believes no one will ever understand that pain. Skylar begs him to trust her, crying that she loves him. Will's wall slams shut. He coldly says, "I don't love you." He pushes her away, just like he pushes away every good thing. Later, Lambeau confronts him about ruining the business meeting. Will blows up again, saying he's not even sure if he wants an academic life. His blunt intelligence makes Lambeau feel small, and their fight turns ugly. Will storms out. Soon after, Will gets an offer from the NSA, one of the most powerful government agencies in America. They promise him a brilliant career. Will refuses. He says he won't use his talent to destroy people's lives for politics. Then he goes to Sean again. Sean asks why he rejected the NSA offer. Will jokes, "I'm waiting for a better deal." Sean asks a deeper question. Does Will ever talk honestly to a real friend? Does he ever feel lonely? Will dodges it with more jokes, quoting philosophers like a shield. Sean finally snaps. He throws Will out of the office, saying, "You're not being honest. You're hiding who you really are." Before leaving, Will asks Sean, "You talk so much about your wife. Where is she now?" Sean quietly answers, "She's gone." Time passes. Will tries to call Skylar, but it's too late. She waited for him, but he never made a real decision. Her last words are, "I love you, take care." Then she moves to California. In Boston, Will starts working construction with his best friend Chuck. On the other side, Professor Lambeau complains that Will is skipping therapy. If Will stops showing up, he could be sent back to jail. Lambeau threatens Sean, blaming him for not controlling Will. During work break, Chuck asks Will about his future. Will laughs and says he'll stay in Boston, be with his friends, and keep living the same life. But this time, Chuck gets serious and says Will is wasting his talent. He admits that every day he hopes to knock on Will's door and find him gone, living a better life somewhere. Meanwhile, Sean finds out Will stopped therapy, Lambo and Sean fight. Lambo accuses him of jealousy. Sean replies that Lambo never understood real love and only cared about success. For the first time, Sean opens up about his abusive father and tells Will, "It's not your fault." Will tries to joke it away, but eventually he breaks down and finally opens his heart. In the last session, Will says he's taking one of the jobs Lambo suggested, and Sean says he's thinking of traveling the world. They exchange goodbyes like real family. That night, Will's friends surprise him with a birthday gift, a car they built from old parts. Later, Lambo and Sean finally make peace and go out for drinks like old friends. The next morning, Chuck goes to pick up Will like always, but this time Will's gone. Chuck smiles with pride. This is what he always wished for. Sean finds a note from Will. It says he's not taking the job. He's going to California, to Skylar. And at the bottom, Will writes Sean's own legendary words about leaving everything behind for the person you love. And that's how Good Will Hunting ends, reminding us that real success isn't about a degree or a fancy job. Real victory is finding who you truly are and choosing the people and the life you love. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more movie explanation videos.